Hello, welcome back to Programming with Riley. My name is Riley, and today I'm making not a tutorial or anything, just a talking video for my car while I'm while I'm on break at work. And I wanted to make this video because I've been having some, just some thoughts in my head that I understand and that I need to kind of get out, because if I'm thinking and if I'm feeling it, chances are you probably are too, or you will be sometime in the future. So I got a job about almost 4 months ago now, making apps with Blazor and C# and all that type of stuff. And let me just tell you, first off, if you're learning to code, if you're trying to get into programming, the ideas in your head are always way more exciting than the reality on the ground. And what I mean by that is what you think of as what your job is going to be, or when we think about things, we always think in the ideals, right? The ideal of you getting a software development job, web development job, right? We always think in the ideals, like, oh, I get to do this, get to do that, get to do this. And for the most part, life doesn't work in ideals, especially when you're asking for something, right? So in this situation, I got a job, I'm asking for a job, I'm applying for a job, I'm asking for them to give me an opportunity, right? So from that perspective, some could argue I have no power, I have no control, but the idea is that my opinion really doesn't matter. Like, and honestly, when it comes down to the job, like, this is the thing about working for other people that you really have to get your head across is, at the end of the day, if somebody's paying you to do something, you have no power, right? And so you can bitch, gripe, moan, complain all you want, but if you're taking money from them to do something, they're in charge, right? And so that's just the world we live in, and it sucks. And what are you gonna do about it? Like, unless you have rich parents, I mean, good luck, right? Like, or if you're a hot chick, right? Like, you're gonna have to do things you don't want to do. It's just that simple, right? And for me specifically, I like to write code in a certain way. I like to use certain tools. I like to find solutions to problems and fix them with ideal and elegant solutions. And not everybody wants that. And that's the thing about this world, is not everybody agrees with you. And not everybody thinks that the way you're doing something is the way things should be done, even though you might strongly agree or strongly believe in it. And people say you got to pick your battles, right? So for me specifically, when I'm dealing with these things, I can detach myself. I can get the work done the way the client or the customer or the boss wants it, and just work. But it doesn't mean that I enjoy what I'm doing. It doesn't mean that I'm engaged. It doesn't even mean that I'm really paying attention too much to what I'm doing, because there's Jocko Willink wrote a book called The Dichotomy of Leadership. Strongly recommend you read it. Even if you're not a leader, at least you know what to expect from your leader. And I have to say, it's just like anything else. The more you educate yourself, the more you kind of see how things aren't, right? Like if you educate yourself on how a leader should be, well, either you read the book and you already know it because you're like, oh yeah, my boss is this way, or you're completely surprised and you're like, wow, this is good leadership, man. I wish I knew, because I'm not exposed to it at all, right? My boss is nothing like this. And honestly, this is the thing where, like, life is complicated and it's messy, right? And we want to make judgments on people because they're not good leaders, but that's all relative, right? So the dichotomy of leadership is, like, at a certain point, you have to take a step back and understand that what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're doing has some level of impact, right? But also there's the overall mission and the objective. And it might just be so that what you're doing doesn't really have much impact on the overall mission and the objective. And thus, your opinion doesn't really matter. And for some of us, this sucks, or it's hard to deal with, because not only does what we're doing not matter, but also we're then told, because it doesn't really matter, do it this way. And you might have a personal preference on doing something a certain way, but once again, it doesn't really matter, so do it this way. So that thing right there, from a leader's perspective, when you're trying to communicate to somebody in that way, I can honestly say, like, it's not something where somebody is trying to actively hurt you or demean you or hurt your feelings or anything like that. It's really just an exercise in discipline. And the biggest thing that most people hate is discipline. Like, just the idea of it, getting it, practicing it. Most people just don't like it. And the thing is you have to understand that for everybody around you, it may be the case that where they are is where they're going to be. You probably know some people, maybe your family, maybe your parents, right, who they figured something out in high school, they went to college, they got a job, and they fucking stayed there. Like, that is what they do, that's who they are. Maybe they're a cop or whatever, and that's just their thing, right? Firefighter. I'm here to tell you that's not what you were doing, right? And if it's just the case because you're watching my video right now. So the reason I can say that is because that's not what I've done. And when I think about things, when I see myself going through life like this, I don't see myself sitting in one spot for any period of time. And so this is where you have to understand that the way, like, people know this about you, right? So they know whether or not it's in your character to do something for a long time or not, right? And they're going to engage with you at that level. And so even though you might think, oh, I'm going to be here, blah, 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 and all this type of stuff, they know. And so what they're going to do is they're going to try and test you, basically. They're going to push you, and they're going to see how far they can push you until you break. And what you're supposed to do is never break, right? And if you do break, come back and say, hey man, I broke, blah, 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 blah. Because they know that you're not going to stay there. And at some point, someday, you're going to ask them to put in a good word for you somewhere, to be a reference for something. And it's just a game that you got to play. I don't know how else to put it. I didn't say it was fun. I didn't say people like it. And also, I'm not telling you that when you're in your position of power to do this to other people. I'm just telling you, when you're in this situation, how to not make it worse for yourself. Because you can make it worse for yourself. And you can make things very difficult for yourself. And it's only going to make things difficult for yourself. And actually, the people who are around you, they're going to get some type of joy around it. Because the thing is most people are not going anywhere in life. Most people figured something out, and that's where they are. And when you are meeting them at that perspective, and they are trying to force their worldview on you. And they're trying to make it so that you believe that you're not going to go anywhere in life. Or that where you are is where you're going to stay. And you have to understand that life is truly lived from the inside out. So when you are taking on ideas and impressions from other people, that's not you. That's not you. That's it's just not you. It's just something that's coming in from somebody else. And so what does this have to do with writing code? Like I said, for me particularly, I have a certain way I like to write code. When somebody doesn't match that, or when somebody doesn't match my flow, it's very disruptive to me because I just assume that we're all in this thing together. Not everybody believes that. And so even though you might be working on the same project, don't think that everybody is rowing the boat the same way. My name is Riley. This is Programming with Riley. If you like this video, please like it or share it with somebody, and I'll see you next time. Peace.